Hi guys, Zak here from Vortex Martial Arts and Fitness, and we're here today on our 6th lesson of our Beginner's iChucks course, Learn Nunchucks Online. In today's lesson, we're going to be covering horizontal wrist rolls and the transition between shoulder redirects, hip redirects, and then into those horizontal wrist rolls. Okay guys, so what we've covered in the previous lesson, we've covered those shoulder redirects into those hip redirects. We've also covered the figure of 8, and we've covered that little spin off the hip redirect. Now what we're going to go through is we're going to go through a wrist roll after a hip redirect. Okay guys, so to start with, we want to be looking at those hip redirects and getting that spin that we've already learned nice and comfortable. Once we've got that spin, what we're going to actually do, instead of just a spin just by rotating the chucks, what we're actually going to do is a complete wrist roll as we get into that position. So all we got to look at doing, guys, is going from hip to hip. As soon as we bounce off the opposite side of that we're holding the chuck in, we're going to come round into that wrist roll. Okay, so we've got our hip redirects. We already know that spin, and all we're doing now is we're adding that wrist roll instead to bring the chuck around. Before we can move on to the next part, guys, it's really important that you get that wrist roll really fluid, and just keep practicing it, bouncing it off the hips for those hip redirects. As soon as we hit that opposite hip, we throw the chuck around the back of our hand. The chuck comes round as it bounces. The chuck comes out, around, and then we end up in that reverse grip, okay? So we're here, around. In that reverse grip. So now the aim would be to try and get out of this reverse grip. So we've got that reverse grip figure of 8, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do that reverse wrist roll, which is going to bring us back into that normal grip. So we've got our hip redirects around into that horizontal wrist roll. Keep it spinning. As soon as you can, we're going to drop down and come over the back. So we're doing that reverse grip figure of 8. So for that reverse grip figure of 8, guys, all you're doing is you're holding it in that reverse grip position. So we're not in that normal grip position anymore. Okay, we're over and we're in that reverse grip position. The reverse grip figure of 8 is exactly the same as the normal grip figure of 8, but all we're doing is we're holding it in that reverse position and we're drawing that 8 symbol. Okay, and we're just coming round, drawing that 8 symbol, and the front chuck will just follow. Okay, and it'll go around one side of the arm in one circle, the other side of the arm in another circle, and we keep transitioning either side of the arm. So far, what we've got those hip redirects, we've got that horizontal wrist roll, and then we've got that reverse grip figure of 8. Okay guys, so before we go into that reverse grip wrist roll from the horizontal wrist roll, what we're going to do is we're just going to practice that reverse grip figure of 8. What we want to look at is as soon as the chuck hits the outside circle at the lowest point, we're going to flip the chuck round, doing that reverse grip wrist roll and ending up back into that neutral grip position. So all we're going to do is we're just going to practice that reverse grip figure of 8, and as soon as we feel comfortable, we're just going to swoop it under and around into that wrist roll. So as soon as that chuck hits that lowest point, we're going to flip round into that wrist roll. So we're in that reverse grip position, reverse grip figure of 8, come around into that reverse wrist roll. Okay guys, so before we transition from one to the other, we're just going to focus on adding that reverse grip figure of 8 in there first. So we're going to learn this trick by doing those hip redirects. We're going to do that horizontal wrist roll into that reverse grip figure of 8. When we're comfortable, we're going to go into that reverse wrist roll. So we're doing that horizontal wrist roll, reverse grip figure of 8, reverse wrist roll, and then back into that normal figure of 8, or whatever you feel comfortable going into. So once we get comfortable with that motion with the reverse grip figure of 8, we can take the motion of that reverse grip figure of 8 out. So we only actually need one spin to be able to transition round into that reverse wrist roll. That's where we want to try and be, that swing and then coming over. Try not to spend too much time in that position, in that reverse grip figure of 8, because we want it to be quick, we want it to be sharp. So we spin, boom, boom, and we're back. 1, 2. Okay guys, so at this point you want to take quite a bit of time learning that move as a single move before you try and put it into our current beginner's iChucks set. So to spend a bit of time on those 2 wrist rolls, on that transitioning move, once you've got that nice and comfortable, we'll go in and put it into the rest of our set. Okay guys, so the easiest way that we can transition now into those shoulder redirects, into those hip redirects, is the same as what we learned in that last lesson. So we're coming on those shoulder redirects, and as soon as we come over the top, we're coming down across the body, doing that spin and coming back. Okay, we're going 1, 2, over, 1, 2, over, coming around, spin, and then in to those shoulder redirects. So coming down, spin, spin, into those shoulder redirects. Okay guys, so now you've got those shoulder redirects. What we want to look at after we've come into those shoulder redirects is coming back down across the hip. So we can come from the shoulder redirect down across the hip, and then we can keep just transitioning between those 2 moves until we get everything nice and comfortable. Okay guys, so I'll show you that from the front. So we start over the shoulder, across the hip, spin. As we come round, we're spinning here and coming under the shoulder for that redirect, and then continuing on the shoulder. When we're comfortable again here, we come across, spin, spin, and go back into those shoulder redirects. Okay guys, so from this side, we're over the shoulder, across the hip, spin, spin, back into those shoulder redirects. When we're over the top, we slice across, spin, spin, and keep going with those shoulder redirects. Okay guys, so this move probably will take quite a little bit of time to master, but it's a really good transitioning move. So you can take the chuck from one plane and transition it via a wrist roll into a different plane. Don't panic if you keep dropping the chucks on this one again guys, just pick them back up and carry on. It's a really good move to get a hold of, so just put in that time, put in that practice, and guys, you will get there. And here's a quick sneak preview into lesson 7.